People across the world praise heroes, yet history hides deaths so extreme they feel unreal, but they truly happened. And the truth behind these final moments will shock you more than fiction ever could. These are not myths or movies, but real stories, backed by records and witnesses, where courage, fear, and pain collided, creating endings so epic they refuse to disappear from memory. You will hear about a warrior who fought without hands, an emperor who vanished into chaos, and a loyal dog who chose sacrifice, and each death changed history in ways few expect. Each story opens a door into the human spirit, showing how people respond when everything is lost, because in those final seconds, choices matter more than crowns, weapons, or survival. Let me show you exactly how this happened, starting in a land under invasion, where fear ruled mornings, steel ruled nights, and resistance meant risking everything you loved. In the 16th century, Spanish forces pushed into southern Chile, clashing with the Mapuche people, who fought fiercely to defend forests, rivers, families, and a way of life older than conquest. Among these fighters stood Galvarino, a Mapuche warrior whose name survived not because he lived long, but because of how he faced suffering with unbreakable resolve and silent defiance. According to historical accounts, Galvarino was captured after a brutal battle, marched as a prisoner, surrounded by armed enemies speaking strange words, knowing his fate would not be kind. The Spanish governor, Garcia Hurtado de Mendoza, wanted fear to spread faster than soldiers, so he ordered punishments designed to crush resistance without killing every captured warrior. Prisoners were lined up before the camp. Some lost noses, some lost hands. Pain filled the air, and the message was clear: obedience or destruction, with no middle path offered. When Galvarino stepped forward, he did not scream or beg. He calmly placed his hand on the block, and the blade fell, slicing flesh, bone, and hope in one motion. Then he placed the other hand down. Again, silence. Witnesses reportedly said his calm terrified the executioners more than anger ever could, because it showed their power had limits. Galvarino even demanded death, but it was denied. Survival with agony was the lesson meant to return home, walking proof of what awaited anyone who resisted Spanish rule. Released and bleeding, Galvarino returned to his people, raising his ruined arms high, not as surrender, but as evidence of cruelty, courage, and what the invaders truly planned. Instead of urging peace, he reportedly called for war, declaring that surrender meant slow destruction anyway, and his words sparked fury rather than fear among the Mapuche. Now here's where things get really interesting, because Galvarino did something no one expected, transforming pain into purpose and turning his broken body into a living symbol. He ordered blades tied to his wrists, replacing hands with knives, choosing to fight again, not from behind lines, but at the very front, facing death without hesitation. Imagine charging toward battle beside a man who already lost everything, knowing fear no longer controls him because death has nothing left to take from his body or spirit. According to sources, Galvarino fought fiercely until captured again, staring down his enemies with hatred and pride, refusing mercy, refusing compromise, even as execution loomed. Reportedly, he chose death over submission, and his end became legend, proving that some victories exist beyond survival, etched instead into memory and identity. But if you think that story is unbelievable, wait until you hear this, because the next death marked the end of an empire that once ruled the known world. Far away, in the city of Constantinople, the Eastern Roman Empire was dying slowly, surrounded by enemies, debt, and fading allies, clinging to ancient walls and fading glory. Its ruler, Constantine XI Palaiologos, was emperor in title, but in truth, he governed only a single city, burdened by history and impossible responsibility. Outside the walls stood Mehmed II, a young Ottoman sultan driven by prophecy, believing destiny itself demanded he conquer Constantinople and claim eternal glory. Constantine begged Europe for help. He offered alliances, marriages, even religious unity, but help arrived slowly and never in numbers strong enough to change fate. According to historians, a cannon maker named Orban offered a massive weapon to save the city, but Constantine lacked the money to pay for such power. Orban then sold his skills to Mehmed instead, creating the Basilica Cannon, a massive gun capable of shattering walls once believed impossible to break. When the siege began, thunder shook the earth. Stones the size of carts smashed defenses. Smoke filled the sky, and fear settled deep into every street. Despite overwhelming odds, defenders fought back, repairing walls each night, praying each morning, and believing survival was still possible against impossible numbers. Then strange signs appeared. A lunar eclipse darkened the sky. Fog filled holy spaces. People whispered that divine protection had finally left the city. Constantine stood firm, calming citizens, even as fear grew heavier than armor and hope slipped through tired fingers like sand disappearing with the tide. As the final assault approached, advisors begged him to flee. Ships waited. Escape was possible. Life beyond the walls still existed somewhere else. But Constantine refused. He removed royal symbols, dressed as a common soldier, and chose to die with his city rather than live without it. When the walls fell, he charged into battle, fighting as one of many, and vanished forever. His body never found, his sacrifice sealing the empire's end. This brings us to the most unexpected story yet, because the final epic death does not belong to a warrior or emperor, but to a loyal dog named Sergeant Gander. Sergeant Gander began life as a playful Newfoundland dog named Pal, raised by a family in Canada, unaware his path would soon cross war, fear, and a choice that defined true loyalty. Because of his massive size and energy, Pal was donated to Canadian soldiers, who quickly embraced him, renamed him Gander, and treated him as one of their own. He slept in bunks, ate rations, drank spilled beer, and followed soldiers everywhere, becoming comfort in uniform, a reminder of home during tense and uncertain days. When World War II spread across the globe, Gander went with his unit to Hong Kong, staying close as danger grew, gunfire echoed, and fear crept into every patrol. As Japanese forces attacked, chaos erupted. Shots rang out, orders were shouted. Smoke filled the air. Through it all, Gander charged forward without hesitation. Soldiers later said enemy troops panicked at the sight of a massive black dog rushing them, barking wildly, biting heels, and breaking formations in moments of confusion. Gander had no rank, no orders, and no understanding of politics, but he stayed near wounded soldiers, refusing to leave them alone during the worst fighting. One night, during heavy combat, a grenade landed near injured Canadians who could not move fast enough to escape the blast waiting only seconds away. In that instant, Gander ran forward, grabbed the grenade in his mouth, and sprinted away from the group, carrying death with him into the darkness. Moments later, an explosion echoed through the battlefield. Gander did not return. The soldiers lived, saved by instinct, loyalty, and a sacrifice beyond understanding. Years later, his bravery was recognized with the Dickon Medal, honoring animals who showed exceptional courage, but his greatest reward remained the lives he saved. So what does all this mean for us today, living far from battlefields, centuries removed from empires, yet still facing moments that test who we truly are? These deaths remind us that courage is not reserved for kings or warriors, but appears in ordinary beings when fear meets purpose at the edge of everything. Galvarino chose defiance when broken. Constantine chose duty when escape was possible. Gander chose sacrifice without knowing his choice would echo forever. History often celebrates winners, but these stories prove something deeper, that how you face the end may matter more than how long you live. The shocking truth is this: history remembers not comfort, but conviction, and it carries forward the names of those who refused to disappear quietly. Empires fell. Colonizers retreated. Wars moved on. Yet these final moments still inspire, warning us that power cannot fully erase courage. If this story stayed with you, remember this feeling, because countless untold moments like these still sleep inside history's shadows. Like the video if it moved you. Subscribe if you want more stories like this. Share it with someone who values courage. And tell me in the comments, which death felt the most powerful to you, and why, because your voice keeps these legends alive. Like, subscribe, share.